Hello everyone, thank you for being here today. Thank you to the organizers for having me here today. My name is Manuel Oliver. I am Joaquin Oliver's father. And I lost my beautiful son and best friend Joaquin Oliver during the Portland shooting on Valentine's Day in 2018. I am here to talk about advertising and art and how we in our organization, Change the Rev, have been able to use these amazing tools to move on. I want to say that since we are born, since we are little babies, we are desperate to learn things. And everything starts at home. We learn from our dad, from our mother, in my case, from my older brothers and sisters, and they give us those first lessons of how to behave, how to react to things. And then the learning process jumps into a more formal way of learning, and I'm talking about school. And in this place, this stage of life, you learn how to read and you learn how to become a better person. You understand that you live with others, so it requires some behavior that will make your life and the rest of people's life easier. We learn, or at least we should learn, how to get along with each other. However, in America, we have been for decades receiving the false idea that carrying a gun is related to freedom, patriotism, loyalty to our country. And we learned that in a very early stage. And sometimes these lies and this false statement goes from generation to generation. The worst part of all this is that we feel proud of it. So other nations, other people that don't deal with these problems, first world nations, by the way, first world leaders that were able to solve these issues long time ago, they see us as a society that proclaims being the best nation in the world, but apparently we're not able to solve this problem. So why am I involved in all this? For obvious reasons. And I already mentioned it. I lost my son. I lost a loved one, a great person. So that made me start doing what I do today. So for those of you that haven't seen what we do, my wife Patricia and myself, we use art in all its forms to send a new message. Our main goal is to delete, to clear, to reset the false idea that freedom is attached to a weapon, and bring the truth and start working in a new narrative, in a new direction, using these two amazing tools. We also think that whatever we've done before hasn't worked, or maybe has worked very little. And because we are trying to save lives in here, we have to do whatever it takes. So we're going to give a chance to art. We're going to give a chance to the advertising industry. And we're going to get involved. And instead of waiting for a solution, we decided to be part of the solution. We are the ones that we were waiting for. You've heard that before? Well, that's exactly how I feel today. I love painting as a form of art. Painting is the first step to connect with someone so you can maybe start a conversation and then convince them from something that you think is the right thing to do. Painting is also a way of making a statement that will embellish a space. So it's a combination of things, talents, and tools that at the end of the day will promote some idea. Picasso said that art is not only embellishing a space, making it look nicer. There's a lot inside what art really means. The message itself, the way that you put images together, that will not necessarily require talent, but it requires a purpose. It requires discipline, and you gotta be constant. So we so far have been able to paint more than 50 murals all around the nation. Even outside of the United States, we have been connecting with other communities that suffer what we went through. So we understand very well what we're feeling, what we need, and how to support each other. But then you have sculptures. And now you have two dimensions to play with. And if you stay with the human scale and you respect that form, those shapes, then your audience becomes part of the story. They have a more direct way to feel what we are feeling. The message is more clear. You are making them part of the whole process. You know, in order to do this, you will need to sacrifice a lot of emotional moments. Like, of course, it's not easy for parents to create a 3D image of their son that was murdered during a shooting. But here's the thing. This is not about how we feel. This is about how Joaquin felt that day. This is about every single victim from gun violence. So if I can make my son an activist, why shouldn't I? Why do I need to remember my son as a victim and be sad and cry often, which I do? Instead of empowering, not me, but Joaquin itself. So now you have this kid that is somehow making a difference. And if you don't have the talent to create a sculpture, you can always borrow one and use it to make your statement. Then you have theater, which is a new form of art for me. Now, here's the thing. When they invite me as a speaker to a rally, they give me certain rules. And time is precious. So you can speak for 5 minutes. You will have partial attention from the audience, because usually these are open spaces and everyone's talking to each other and a lot of interruptions. And you have to condense your message. Very short, precise. Now, what if I tell you that you can be on a stage with all the information that you want surrounding you, and people will pay total attention for 90 minutes to your story. And by the way, they will pay for a ticket. which is incredible. They want to learn. They want to learn through you how to prevent this happening to them. But at the end of the day, it's about being honest and loyal to the truth. Because I've heard that if your voice is the truth, if you are giving the right message, then no one will be able to argue with you. And then there's music. And it gets more and more creative, and now you have people dancing. So you have a tragedy, and you're able to find a way to entertain people while you share your story, share your movement, and also give options to solve the problem. So if you ask me which of these forms is my favorite, which of these forms is the one that I like better than others? Well, I will have to answer none of the above. But I have passion, and I believe in the creative process behind the advertising industry.
Change the Ref presents.
Which is a combination of everything that I just told you. Just like famous brands do, Nike, McDonald's, NFL, Starbucks. They create these tendencies, trend,
to remind politicians
cool products and services that people want to buy. They want to be part of that culture because it's a cool culture. So that same treatment is exactly the same treatment that we give to Joaquin and his movement, because he's a cool guy and you want to be with the cool guy.
I've been gone for
now,
2 years.
We turn
nothing's changed.
Tragedies
People are still
into
getting
strategies.
killed by guns. The election in November
Okay?
is the first
And if
one
you
I
don't
could have voted in.
understand yet at this point of my presentation what I'm trying to explain, just remember for a minute the tobacco industry. Not so long ago. So now you got it. Perfect. This is exactly the moment that I wanted to reach from my whole presentation. We create campaigns, commercials
another absurd deal.
that will clean, delete, reset the false idea that weapons, freedom, and liberty, and loyalty to our nation have to be together. We actually show the consequence behind the gun industry. We have to show that more than 40,000 people die every single year because of our loyalty to the gun industry. We also have a money cost, $280 billion between crime, justice, fees, health, fees, and costs. You have no idea how expensive this gun culture trend actually is. We also have a target. And our target is every single American. Mostly the ones that don't agree with our ideas and principles. I deserve a moment of your attention. Joaquin deserves a moment of your attention. Now, this creative pack that we were able to develop and put together during the last 3 years is not pretending to change our culture. It's actually willing to help our culture evolve. And maybe we can build a future that will give more opportunities to the following generations. The youth is on board. And the youth will always, always have the final call. So if you're afraid of something, you should be afraid of the youth. Now, we understand that our solution is not an immediate solution. It's going to take some time. So for those of you that think that our politicians will be able to solve this problem faster without us being involved, well, you're wrong. Because if you want to see change, you should be part of that. You should be part of that change that you want to see. Let me tell you something. We have seen a red Senate with a blue House and a blue White House. We have seen a blue Senate with a red House and a red White House. We have seen all three powers in blue and all three powers in red. And none of these combinations has been able to solve our unique problem behind gun violence. So what makes you think that there's a plan, there's a common ground inside Capitol Hill that is working on the solution of this? Well, I don't think so. However, I'm also getting involved. I'm also bringing something to the table so we can all, as a group, put our collective effort in finding the solution. Activism is probably the most powerful tool that society has ever had. Big changes in humanity came after big statements from the art culture. It was a pleasure being here, sharing my thoughts. And if I was able to make one of the viewers, one of you that is looking at this video right now, somehow think that this might be right, that I have a point, that there's a small, tiny little light at the end of the dark tunnel, then I'm happy.